Hey there, welcome to Two Beards Gaming. I'm Luke. Chris.
Yeah, I'm Luke.
Yeah.
Background for us. This is our first video, Allison and Chris painting, and background for us is my gaming started back in second edition for Warhammer 40k. Played third, a bit of fourth, then quit for a while. Came back in seventh edition and eighth edition. I started with Eldar army, huge army. I have a Tau army, and I'm starting a Blood Angel army right now, so that's what I'm doing. Also have some Age of Sigmar stuff, which is really cool. I have a huge Stormcast Eternal army, and I started Iron Jaws army as well.
Well, I started with Warhammer Rogue Trader, actually, back in the mid to early 90s. All with seeing a picture of an Orc War battle wagon in White Dwarf. Started collecting and painting and playing back then. Continued in second edition, then stopped. Went mostly on to their secondary games like Necromunda, Mordheim, Battlefleet Gothic, etc. Then took another break and got back into gaming thanks to War Machine and Hordes. And now with the latest edition of 40k, Age of Sigmar, and the re-release of a lot of the old games like Necromunda, Blood Bowl, I'm totally back into those as well. But I'm mostly of a, you'd say, painter, builder, collector more than the gamer side of it. Luke's more gaming side of it, whereas,
Yeah, it makes it hard to follow you when you keep buying stuff.
Yeah, well, it's an addiction. So with the new release of Necromunda yesterday, not that crap that everybody thought was going to be Necromunda. No, the real Necromunda. We decided we'd do a little bit of an unboxing video for all of you, and then in the next few days you'll probably see reviews of all of the Necromunda products and a campaign that we're going to start. Since there's only two gangs out right now, the Escher, the female gangers that you can see in the screen at the bottom, and the Goliath, these giant brutes, we don't have much of a choice of which gangs we want to play. I'm calling dibs on the Goliath.
Okay. I'm okay with hot chicks.
Yeah, well, your boss is called Mad Donna.
Oh, okay.
So let's start off with the unboxing. Let's put it on the table here. Oh yeah, and excuse any wobbliness in the cameras or odd clicky sound. My bulldog is acting quite hyper right now.
Yeah, she keeps trying to jump up on me and lick my hands and stuff.
Okay, just to start off, regular size box for 40k products, unlike the Shadow War Armageddon, which was double sized. But it also weighs about 3 times more than any other Games Workshop box.
Yeah, it's pretty heavy. And there's no terrain in there. Ooh, templates again.
Right off the bat, we're back to the old templates. I'm sure most of you, I know I do, have probably about 50 sets of these from various colors.
I don't have
You've got one, because there's one in Shadow of Armageddon.
Yeah, I haven't opened my box yet.
So this is the extent of the terrain. So it's just pieces to block line of sight, really. Unlike the original edition of Necromunda that came with these gorgeous bulkheads and cardboard walkways that you could assemble.
All the bits in there.
This edition, they decided to just...
bits or whatever. Just garbage.
They decided to basically forego the 3D terrain, let you do your own thing. I guess it's because they had released Shadow War Armageddon last year and re-released all the terrain for it. Or with...
Last year or earlier this year?
I think it was... Well,
don't know. Whatever.
Yeah, anyways. And with the advent of 3D printers, a lot of people are printing their own terrain, kind of like us. Then next thing you see is the sprues for the gangs. So this is exactly like the individual box sets that they released of the gangs. You get 2 identical sprues for Goliath, 2 identical sprues for the Escher. Each body has 2 different builds that you can do in the instructions, and then a little bit of extra variety to build your typical.
That's a huge whip on or
typical ganger. Yeah, that's for the leader for the Escher. Then you get your instruction sheet, and there's a hole in it.
There's still plastic bits everywhere. Oh, I got some hair here. Or a head. Or
that looks like a head.
Yeah.
Then there's a rule book, individually sealed.
There you go.
We'll get back to the rule book later. And it looks like there's a quick reference sheet on it. Always love those.
Some nice textured bases. Whoops.
Yeah, the cool. Bases on the Necromunda miniatures so far, fantastic. It's all really industrial. There's almost no...
a set of dice, too.
Yeah. So they released the set of dice in the game. So you get the black and the yellow dice. There's 2 different types of die in there.
It looks like something breaks bones, something that heals or something.
And then they also decided to release faction-specific dice. So we've got the Escher dice that are nice purple and yellow.
Yeah, I'm looking at the screen. You're probably looking at what's in your hand.
And then they also released the ones for the Goliath, which are like a copper and red. Could pass off for corn, I guess.
Corn. Corn. So we can see this one that has the healing and breaking bones or something. I don't know what the hell that is.
Then you've got your tactic deck. Big deck of cards. So in this, you'll have tactics for your gangs, the stat cards for all of the gangers, and even some blank stat cards so you can make your own characters for the campaigns.
2 extra bags of Ziplocs, I guess, to put more stuff in. I don't know.
I think it's to actually keep the cards in separately.
Maybe.
Then there's the gorgeous board pieces and counters. There's a bunch of little tokens, lots of double-sided bases. These are if you want to play Necromunda just with the box set and not the Gang Wars expansion book. So you're just playing 2D terrain. It's almost like a board game instead of a tabletop tactics game. But I'm planning for our campaign, we're going to be using 3D terrain, but I'm thinking we're still going to use these as the base instead of texturing another table for this.
And last but not least is a nice ruler.
Actually, that's not last. So that's the ruler to actually see if stuff is in sight or not.
There's a plastic film to protect it. I don't know if we're going to take it off or not.
But the last part is the inside of the box itself can be used as terrain.
Okay.
So
interesting.
What else did they come out with? Well, for both factions, they released decks. So these have, as they say in the back, 8 tactic cards, 12 gang tactic cards, 6 blank fighter cards, each individually marked with the logo for the gang. So same thing for the Goliaths. But the fun thing is, because we had pre-ordered in store ahead of time, they gave us holographic, metallic-looking cards.
Oh, you can see it there, yeah.
So you've got the leaders, the champions, and whatnot for both gangs. This you could only get, I'm guessing, if you had pre-ordered. And they also provided us, because we had bought it online through the store,
where is it?
A web-exclusive card. Sorry if I'm out of frame here. Called Hive Tremors. So it's another tactics card that we can use. I'm sure most of these are going to show up online
probably
shortly after.
Yeah, you can actually see the web exclusive right in the. I don't need to. There you go. Yeah. Shiny.
Ooh, shiny. So, I know, Luke, you've never played Necromunda before.
Nope, no experience whatsoever. So everybody's losing their mind with this box or this game. I have no idea how to play it. I just know it plays on different levels. So you gotta pop my.
I'm gonna pop your Necromunda cherry.
There you go.
What I really liked about Necromunda is, unlike 40K, where you need hundreds, if not thousands, of miniatures at some points, and you've got multiple squads to think of and what each character in the squad's doing, Necromunda is way smaller. It's at the skirmish level. You've got one leader, you've got a few champions, and then you've got your gang members that fill out the rest of the squad. And as you play, and this is my favorite part, they gain experience. And if, say, you kill one of my champions in the first game, I can use my credits to buy new characters for the next game, or buy new equipment for them. And they also gain skills and get better. So a regular ganger can become a champion and eventually replace your leader if your leader dies. Okay. The rules for this version, this edition, are really good. They've kept a lot of the fun things about Necromunda, but incorporate a lot of the 8th edition rules. So
that's cool.
For shooting, it's pretty much the same type of thing as in 40k. You've got to know the same stats. For combat, there's a few little things that are different, but for the most part, it's 40k on a smaller level. One really fascinating rule for me is if you've got somebody pinned down and you go and attack them in close combat, it's an automatic kill. You basically slice their neck open.
Nice.
But yeah, this game comes from an era where Games Workshop decided to expand their repertoire and had Mordheim, which was the fantasy version of this, Necromunda, which was the sci-fi. And I remember my friends and I in high school just going nuts on this game.
So how does this, like, I'm just looking at these cards right now here, and there's a bunch of this. I'm looking for the Eschers. And there's a lot of play at the start of the round, or play immediately before rolling to wound, a gas weapon. And so how does this work? Like, how do you play?
Well, these tactic cards are brand new to the new edition, so we're going to have to go through the rule book. What I want to start off with is we're going to open the book and go through the quick start rules. Obviously, we're not going to give out all the rules because, well, I don't want the big nasty W after me, but...
We'll probably lose a lot of people fall asleep or something, too.
Yeah. So basically, you get to do multiple actions a turn. Okay. So you can do a move, which is simple, and then shoot. Okay. You can move, so you essentially end up running. You can aim, so you stand still, you aim, and then shoot, so you get a bonus to shooting. Okay. Or you can charge, which actually counts as your two actions. Okay. Take cover is another thing that you can do. Coup de grâce, reload. You can operate certain things in the game like doors, access terminals, force doors. You can crawl through a ductway.
Oh, cool. Okay.
Fire through the ductway. Smash open loot caskets. Bypass locks. Carry loot caskets and ammo caches. Like, there's tons of stuff you can do. It really is a role-playing game, but tabletop. Okay. So basically, the way
you don't have a DM per se.
Exactly. The game is played in different sequences. So you've got your shooting sequence, where you declare your shot, you check the range, because in this one, unlike 40k now, you can't pre-measure. Okay. So you make your hit roll. You see if your target is pinned, and then you resolve the damage. Then there's modifiers. Close combat sequence. So you turn your character to face where you want to attack. You pick the weapon that you're going to use.
So turning, does it count as a?
It depends. You usually only turn if you're moving or if you're going to go into melee to charge. Okay. Then you've got your bonus attack dice, resolving hits, wound rolls, injuries. So you can get out of action, serious injury, flesh wounds. Yeah,
it's just a flesh wound. It's just a flesh wound.
It's going to be fun. Right off the bat, though, looking at these quick reference sheets, they're kind of flimsy. It's more like just a heavy stock paper instead of hard stock like they usually do. So,
that's a bit extensive in the rule book. A bit.
A lot of this is actually fluff, from what I understand. So they go on and explain what Necromunda is. So Necromunda is a hive world. So in the 40k universe, for those who don't know, a lot of planets are over-inhabited. So instead of continuing to grow the cities across the land, they build them up in giant spires. Usually these spires...
So it's Coruscant in Star Wars.
Pretty much. Except Coruscant in Star Wars is completely covered.
Yeah.
So, for example, Necromunda, the higher you go up in the hive, the higher your social ranking is. So those living at the top of the spire are the top nobility, whereas those living at the base or under the hive are usually just slum, the dredges of that humanity. And the higher noble houses hire these lower gangs to create fights for control of different areas and whatnot. And that's where you get the houses. So as Luke mentioned, we've got House Escher, which is a all-female run gang led by Mad Donna. You've got House Goliath. These are guys that typically work with the forges, the smelters. They're really big, muscle-bound idiots. They'll have typically more heavy fire, and they're definitely not scared of close combat. Then we'll see, as was just announced today, the next gang to come out is the Orlocks. They're engineers and smiths and whatnot. They've got that like 1960s Streetcar Named Desire gang look to them.
Oh,
right?
okay.
So the ripped sleeves, the leather jacket vest.
Bowler hats?
No, like the 1960s, not 1860s. The bandanas and the handkerchief dangling from their belt.
Bowler hats would be cool.
Then there's another one called Delac. I've also heard them pronounced Delac, but I think it's Delac.
Okay.
They're the spies and the assassins. They wear trench coats. They all have their heads shaved. They kind of look like Hitman from the Hitman franchise. Then there's Van Sars. These guys are technologically obsessed. They wear suits kind of like the suits from Dune.
Oh, okay.
And they're obsessed with more advanced weaponry.
Oh,
then there's the Redemptionists.
she just brought me your ball.
Aww. So the Redemptionists are basically priests. They're zealots. They'd work for the clergy in the 40K universe, but they bring it a little bit further. They think everybody's a heretic. They want to burn everybody. And then there's other ones like the Ratskins and Cawdor and
Ratskins. Okay.
yeah. So I'm hoping that we get to see all of them. I was at our local Games Workshop this afternoon, and we were discussing this, and yeah, we really hope to see a lot more of it. But it looks like most of the special characters for this game are going to be released through Forge World and not Games Workshop proper.
Oh, okay, that's interesting.
Just like they did with Blood Bowl. So it's going to cost you a pretty penny unless you join up with a bunch of other people in your town to order a whole crap load of them and save on the shipping that way.
Yeah. We have to do that.
Yeah.
Wow. Your dog wants to play.
She does. We're going to take a break right now. We'll come back in a few minutes and we'll review the first miniatures for Necromunda.